Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. That sounds like such a weird thing to say. If you're new here, well, guess what? You don't have a lot of catching up to do because there's only 2 videos officially on my channel, so good job. My name's Josie and I'm an aspiring author, and I just like to ramble about things, mostly analyzing movies and books and stories and stuff like that. So that's what we're here to do today. We're here to analyze the movie Turning Red, which is why Baymax and I are wearing red today. On my Instagram, I asked my followers what did they want to see on my channel, and Turning Red analysis was the most requested thing. And this was before I had watched the movie, so I was like, okay, let's see what I'm diving into. I don't think it necessarily was I didn't want to watch the movie. I just knew I would get around to doing it at some point. But hey, making a video on analyzing this movie meant that I was forced to watch it sooner. If you guys don't know, Turning Red is Pixar's latest movie that came out in Disney Plus in March 2022. And it has sparked a lot of debate for some reason. I have no clue why. But we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about why I thought this movie was lacking. My general thought is that I think you should go see the movie yourself. Easy as that. I don't think that you should let other people's opinions dictate whether you watch a movie or not. And I think you should find out for yourself if you like it or not, you know? If you like the movie, that's great. Don't let whatever I say drag you down or make you feel like I am somehow shaming you for liking the movie. I don't think the movie's that bad. And I think that we all have different tastes and opinions. So if you love a movie or if you don't love a movie and I disagree with you, that's fine. We can have disagreements, you know? I'd love to interact with you guys if you want to comment down what you think about what I said or about the movie. Because honestly, I'm just here for genuine interactions and I just like talking with other people, especially when it's, you know, about movies. Now that we got all of that stuff out of the way, I'm going to go through a very brief summary of the movie. So, spoiler warnings if you have not watched the movie already, although I recommend that you do that before you watch this video, or you just don't care about spoilers. Okay, brief summary of the movie because I need to get that out of the way. So, spoiler warning, Meilin Lee is a 13-year-old Chinese Canadian and she is like an all-star. She's ambitious, she's got good grades. But see, Meilin isn't normal because one night she turns into this giant red panda and freaks out. But apparently this is a sort of blessing slash curse that just so happens to run in her family. And for whatever reason, her parents didn't tell her about it. Her parents sort of try to emphasize on putting away the panda and making sure that no one else sees it because the red panda is associated with strong emotions. But Mei doesn't do that. Actually, she uses her red panda abilities and with her friend hustles the school to try and get money so that she and her 3 other friends can go see Four Town, which is like a really big boy band apparently. Which, by the way, has a great song in the movie. I'm just saying, I thought the song was funny and, like, it's fun. Anyways, Mei gets sort of caught up in between trying to follow her mom and get rid of the panda, but also to do what she wants and to do what her friends want, which is to go to this boy band concert. And that's sort of where the culmination of everything happens. And then her mom accidentally turns into this giant red panda and like storms the concert, and then they have this huge boss battle fight. So yeah, I tried my hardest to do a summary, but it's just really hard because I don't think that there was any better way to explain the movie than just watching it. I thought the movie's pacing was great, by the way, just saying. Like, I thought that it was well done. I know that summary was kind of lacking, but to be honest, I don't know any other way to summarize the movie other than you just watching it. The movie is really hard to explain if you haven't watched it. I don't know why. You wouldn't think that because the concept's super easy, I guess, and it's pretty guessable, but also at the same time. Now we have all of that out of the way, let's talk about what I thought about the movie, which is that, it's a really cute, fun movie. I personally may not watch it again because I cringed a little. It's so sad because I really, really wanted to love this movie, because it was Canadian Chinese, but still, like focuses on that sort of immigrant Asian family lifestyle and everything, and I really did want to connect with it. I think this movie does a great job at representation of like that Asian American immigrant lifestyle, and I think that's great. I think that there are going to be a lot of people who empathize deeply with Maylin and her situation. It's just a lot of the plot bugged me too much to ignore, and I don't think anyone else would have picked it up, but hey, who knows? Maybe you got to the end of the movie and you thought, this ending feels weird and feels off and I don't know why. And I think I know why. Okay, so my two biggest issues with the plot of the movie was that, one, there were too many loose ends for me to ignore. So much so that I thought it messes with the lore of the story and everything. And two, there's no resolution to the movie. There's an ending, but there is no resolution. And you feel that when you watch it. Okay, so what do I mean about that there's too many loose ends? Well, two things. The theme and also the Red Panda. The theme confuses me because like the intended theme is that you need space to grow into yourself, all messy sides included, but I don't really feel like they stuck the landing with that one because at the very end, yes, her parents sort of give her space because she's going off to go karaokeing with her friends. But it doesn't really feel earned because it doesn't really feel like her parents are actually giving her space. They're sort of just forced to because of the situation, It feels like we sort of missed out on a conversation where we saw Maymay and her mother try to compromise to figure out a way for Maymay to have more space to grow into her own person and her mother to, not be so overbearing and helicopter. It's kind of interesting because I know on social media a lot of people were criticizing that the mom was too much of a helicopter and that's so exaggerated. Again, not here to touch base on that. I know the mom was like super helicopter and overbearing, but the movie kind of felt like it was trying to justify Maymay's rebellion because of the mother's overbearingness, but in reality, it's like both of their faults. The mom should have trusted the daughter more because up until now, the daughter had no record of rebellion, She did everything her mom asked, and so her mom should have trusted her. Yeah, I get that. But also, Maymay should have tried to have actual communication and honesty with her parents because in the movie, she lies a lot about how she feels so that she doesn't disappoint her mom. And to be honest, I couldn't help but feel like at the very end, it just sort of threw out the whole honor your parents and completely disregarded it. And she was sort of being straight up disrespectful, and it was sort of in the name of figuring out who she is, and so that somehow justified it, and I wasn't a fan of that. And that might just be because I have a very interesting family dynamic with my parents, My mom homeschooled me for my entire life, which honestly, kudos to her because I do not know how she did that. But I have a lot of respect for her and my dad because of everything they did. I don't feel obligated to respect them. I just do it out of a thankfulness. And I can't help but wonder, what is this movie going for? Because they talk sort of about honoring your ancestors because Sun Yi, who is the ancestor who gave them the Red Panda spirit, they honor her, but then also, Maymay is disrespectful to her parents and doesn't really honor them. Point is, the whole thing is a mess, and I thought they were trying to make too much of Maymay to be the person who's in the right while her mom's in the wrong, when in reality, both of them are wrong. And I wish that we acknowledged that. The second thing that also doesn't make any sense because it just has too many loose ends is the Red Panda. I do not understand it for the life of me. I don't get what it represents. I don't know what they were trying to intend, and none of the meanings make any sense, and I will show you. Okay, This is a direct quote from the movie. Mei says, "We've all got an inner beast. We've all got a messy, loud, weird part of ourselves hidden away, and a lot of us never let it out." So what does that mean? What does the red panda represent? Right, according to her, the loud, messy, weird part of herself. Is it her repressed emotions because she's super emotional all the time and she gets easily triggered? That doesn't make any sense because why do the other women give up their red pandas? Basically, at the climax of the movie, her grandmother and her aunties, and they all break their sort of panda spirit to become red pandas so that they could save her mom. And then they all have to go through that process of getting rid of their red panda, which is super easy, but still, they had the option to keep the red panda again, and yet they still chose to go through without it. So why? If the red panda is supposed to represent that messy, loud, weird part of you, why would they not keep it? Why isn't the movie trying to promote for them to also learn how to embrace their red panda? Why didn't we see Mei teaching them how to control their panda and how to become one with their panda? Why didn't we see that? All we saw was that Mei kept her red panda and the other women did not. So why? Does that mean that the mother and the grandmother and the aunties are all trying their hardest to be perfect and that they're repressing their emotions still and they're trying to put on this display that they're perfect or something? I do not get it. What is the point of having Mei keep her red panda if the others do not? I know it's supposed to make her stand out, but also at the same time it completely disproves the whole point of letting out that inner messy, weird part of yourself. Someone suggested maybe it's a repressed side of her, but to be honest, the panda wasn't a repressed side of her. It let out a side of her that she already had. She just didn't show it to her parents. For example, she liked Fort Town way before the red panda. She liked boys before the red panda. The red panda just forced her to confront all the things that she already liked. So if the panda is supposed to represent something that was repressed, there should have been a lack of something before. We already saw Mei as normal for at least 30 minutes, and then she becomes a red panda. So there should have been something lacking in her that she needed in the panda. The panda didn't give her anything. The panda only gave her confidence, and that's it. And to all of you who try to tell me that the red panda represents puberty or something like that, no, I refuse. For one thing, the origin of the red panda makes no sense. The lore is that Sun Yi, the ancestor who gave them the red panda spirit, was asking the gods to be given this ability to turn into a magical beast because the men were away fighting in a war and she wanted to protect herself and her daughters. Cool, great. The red panda represented a protector. So is the red panda supposed to represent something different each time to each person? Because I don't get that. Sure, in the context of the movie, in that timeline, when you don't think about the lasting consequences or what came before that movie takes place, everything makes logical sense. But in my personal opinion, I feel like movies should cause us to think about real world applications and what does it mean for us. And this movie just confuses me. The red panda makes no sense. Also, at some point in the movie, Mei's grandmother warns her about the darkness in the red panda, but that's never held on. That's never continued for whatever reason, even though we see signs of that. We saw how destructive and dangerous her red panda form could be because she attacked Tyler, and her mom literally injured her grandmother, which is why the grandmother has that scar. So it's not that the red panda is just cute and fluffy. The red panda has the potential to actually hurt people. So what does it mean if Mei continues to keep her red panda? Does that mean she also keeps the darkness? Because that's a pretty dark story to tell. And I feel like this could have all been avoided if we had not mentioned that one line. Another question is, what does it mean that her friends neutralize the panda? The rules of this red panda make no sense in my mind because they are not consistent. It seems that anytime she has any big emotions, she then turns into a red panda. But that is not true, because apparently thinking about her friends makes the panda go away. But also thinking about Robert as a mermaid makes the panda come back. So what? Every single time that she doesn't want to be a panda, she has to constantly be thinking about her friends. It seems that she can make the panda go in and out at free will at that point, so then it's not really attached to emotions anymore. If anything, the red panda isn't really attached to anything, it's just attached to her and whether she wants to be a red panda or not. But that's not what's explained in the movie. The movie says that it's attached to her emotions. So what is it? Emotions or just her? I think something that the writers and directors and whatever left out was just the lore of the red panda and the sort of magic system of it makes no sense. Honestly, I can't draw any conclusions with the red panda because, again, makes no sense in my mind. Maybe it does to you, and if so, that's great. I would love to hear what you thought. But for me, I do not get it, because it seems like every single sort of storyline thread that they were going for sort of doesn't actually have an end, and so it's kind of just lost in the wild. I think the red panda honestly forces Mei Mei to be honest, because there are times when she just blurts things out, and that's how she actually feels, and that's what helps her to grow into a person. So does the red panda represent honesty? Okay, I know that was a whole big chunk of stuff, but number two, the thing that I found lacking about this movie was the fact that there is no resolution. There is a climax, there is an ending, but there is no resolution. It does not feel satisfying because it does not feel like everything's wrapped up in a nice little bow. Let's talk about the number one reason why there was no resolution. Mei Mei doesn't experience any consequences for her actions throughout the entire movie, and it bothers me to no end. It's sort of just brushed under, as if she wasn't wreaking havoc and almost killing people and all of these things. One evidence of this is when she turns into a red panda at school, and then she runs all the way home. There's like no citywide search or something, and all of her friends, when they find out that she's a red panda, doesn't, tell her to the news or anything. They just think she's super cute. They don't think that her size or anything is, dangerous. Also, another thing, she hurts Tyler, who is this kind of sort of jerk, insecure kid who lashes out at her, and then she gets mad at him and because he was attacking her family and blah blah blah. She attacks him. There are like scratches on his shirt or whatever. He's apparently not physically injured because he seems fine. But there are no consequences to this. Nothing comes of this at all. Well, one thing, the party gets shut down because Tyler was hosting a birthday party and his parents were like, everybody go home. That's it. That's the only thing. And not only that, this doesn't affect how Tyler feels about Mei Mei from then on. He's not like somehow scared of her or hates her or anything. If anything, later on, he gets adopted into their friend group just because he likes Four Town. There's no any kind of Mei Mei says, I'm sorry to Tyler, and Tyler says, I forgive you, and I'm sorry for being a jerk. There's none of that. There's no resolution to that. It's sort of just continued and brushed over as if it didn't happen. Also, her mother doesn't punish her, which is kind of the whole point because her mother idealizes her daughter and doesn't think that her precious little Mei Mei can do anything bad, which is why she blames the friends and Devin at Daisy Mart. You'll have to watch the movie to understand that one. I feel like the ending would have made more sense if Mei Mei was like grounded for a month, for sneaking out, for the party, for all of that stuff. But her friends were allowed to come visit, and they could have karaoke at the house, and they could eat together and stuff like that. That would have been really sweet, because we still saw that her friends were able to be with her, but also there were actual consequences, because guess what? She is a 13-year-old. She is a child. There's just no consequences to any of Mei's actions. Like, yes, bad things do happen, but then it turns out fine, and then everyone pretends as if the bad things didn't happen, and there's no actual resolution. Again, the Tyler thing. It sort of feels like the directors and the writers were like, oh, to make sure that the point is that you need to have space to grow, we need to make sure that Mei has a good life at the very end, and doesn't experience any of the consequences of her actions. Because that makes sense for whatever reason, even though she's 13 and a literal child still. Also, another big thing that annoys me is that there is no real conversation between Mei and her mother. And I mean conversation as in they are both listening to each other and talking to each other. There's just one-sided conversations where they're both lashing out at each other, and that's it. From my personal experience, I feel that a story about a teen who is trying to figure out her place in the world should promote open communication and respect on both sides for the parents and the teen. If the teen doesn't feel like their parents are being very open and they can't be open with them, then it just falls flat. And also, there was no real apology on either sides. The mother sort of apologizes. She basically says, you try to make everyone happy, you're so hard on yourself, and if I taught you that, I'm sorry. But the issue is that that's not a big point in the movie. The movie makes it obvious that yes, Mei is a little bit of a people pleaser, but also at the same time she's confident enough to do her own thing. And even then, eventually she's not as hard on herself thanks to her friends. So I get that that's sort of a thing that was when she was growing up, but also at the same time it's not super relevant by the end of the movie. Her mother's apology wasn't sort of, I'm sorry for making you feel like you had to be perfect for me, and I'm sorry that I had forgotten about the pressure that my own mother put on me to be perfect, and then I put that same pressure on you. There's very little acknowledgement of the generational trauma, because that seems to be a common theme, and people were like, oh, look at this, it's similar to Encanto. But Encanto actually acknowledges the generational trauma. And in Encanto, Abuela actually takes responsibility for her actions. She apologizes for forgetting who the miracle was for. Obviously, she doesn't apologize for the trauma that she went through, because that's not her fault, but she apologizes for the trauma that she put all her kids and grandkids through. And we don't see that. We don't see any apology from the grandmother who sort of forced Mei's mother into this really difficult situation. We also see no apology from Mei's own mother about, I'm sorry for putting all of this pressure on you. There's none of that kind of apology. It's just, I'm sorry that I made you believe that you had to make everyone happy and that you were hard on yourself, which is kind of there, but it's lackluster. It's not all of it. It's a lot more complicated than that, and they failed to acknowledge that, and it bothers me so much, because I could have forgiven it if they were like, oh, Mei doesn't experience any consequences, but there's an actual conversation between her mother and her where they actually say sorry to each other for what they've been through, and it's all sweet and everything. But no, there's none of that. And so the ending feels lackluster because it's not resolved. It just feels like the conflict was sort of pushed away and saved for another day. And I think what's even worse is that there's no apology from Mei herself. There's an angry apology where she's lashing out at her giant red panda mother, and she's like, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect or good enough, or I'll be like you. But it's not a genuine apology. That's sort of just sarcastic at that point. It's not I'm sorry for being rebellious. Like, even if there's no explanation for why she's feeling the way she's feeling, because it's just puberty, and puberty is weird, there's no explanation for her actions. It's just sort of chalked up to the Red Panda, which makes her justified in doing what she wants, apparently. In my personal opinion, I feel like Inside Out handled this sort of similar theme of just going through life and being emotional and not really able to explain it. Because, for example, at the very end of the movie, Riley sort of apologizes. She's like, I'm sorry, I know you guys want me to be happy here in San Francisco, but I really miss Minnesota. And it's really sweet because obviously she's just a kid. She doesn't understand that it's okay. She doesn't need to be sorry about that. Her feelings are valid. She misses Minnesota. And her dad and her mom both are like, yeah, we miss it too. That's okay. But we're going to make a better life here. But we'll do it together, sort of thing. And then it becomes this really sweet moment. And I thought that was so cute. And it's beautiful because that's how life works. You own up to your actions. I wish that we saw Mei sort of going, I'm sorry for how emotional I've been and everything and all of that, and the mother was just like, it's okay, I understand you, I've been there too, we're going to get through this together. You know, that is so encouraging because that's the kind of reminder that teenagers need, that they will have space and room to grow into their own person, but their parents and their family are still there for them. I feel like we didn't see that at the very end of the movie. It sort of just dropped off, and we sort of see Mei making the rules because she's like, I'll be home by dinner, and then her mom's like, you're not going out like that, and Mei is like, my panda, my choice. And it doesn't feel like her parents completely trust her to give her the space. It doesn't feel like there is trust on either side. It just still feels broken. And that saddens me. I wish that I had felt that this ending had stuck the landing similar to Inside Out and Encanto, but it really just didn't, because it didn't feel like anything got resolved and just things were left in the air. And yeah. I thought this movie had so much potential to do great things, and I think we need to see more coming-of-age movies, but this movie didn't really do it for me. I wouldn't really recommend this movie as a good example of a coming-of-age movie. I thought that this movie had so much potential to be a great example of a coming-of-age story, and we definitely need more coming-of-age stories, but it just didn't stick the landing, and I didn't feel like it did a great job at the plot that it was trying to go for because of the list of issues that I've already given you. I would just say that this movie is fun and entertaining and cute, and that's about it, and I'm kind of sad to say that. If you thought differently or have a different idea of what I said, please let me know. I love to talk to you. I love to have conversations about what you guys thought about this movie, and just let me know what you guys thought. You know, I want to know, did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? What did you think about anything that I said? Did anything I say make any sense whatsoever? I hope you guys like this video. Let me know what else you want me to cover, whether it's movies, Disney, Pixar, Marvel, any of that. I'd love to ramble, you know I would. So yeah, just let me know. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!